So welcome back. Now having learned about inflation, what is inflation and what is the implication of inflation on the purchasing power of my money, I would want my money to grow to an extent that it at least beats inflation. Of course, I would want my money to grow as much as legally and ethically possible, but certainly not less than the rate of inflation. So if we consider the rate of inflation in the year 2020, when this course was initially made, and if I were in Canada during that time, then I would want my Canadian dollars to grow by at least 0.6% and become more than 1006 Canadian dollars in a year, because the inflation rate there was 0.6%. But if I were in the United States, then I would want my $1,000 to grow and become 1015 by the year end, because there the inflation rate was 1.5%. But being in India, where the inflation rate was 5%, I would want my 1000 rupees to grow and become at least 1050, not less than that. And if I were in Iran, then I would not be satisfied with anything less than 30%. I would want my Iranian reals to grow from 1000 to 1300, because there the inflation rate was a whopping 30%. So the point is, how do I make my money grow so that it at least beats inflation? Now, to understand that, we have a few options. Either we can do a business ourselves. If I want to grow my money, I can either do some business myself and make that money grow, or I can invest in someone else's business, like the stock market or the shares of a company. When you are actually investing in shares of some company, you are investing in somebody else's business. Or I may invest in some other assets like gold, real estate, some house or property or things like that. But the problem is, the moment I talk about investment, a demon called risk starts staring into my eyes. Some people say that investment in stock market is risky. Some others would say that investment in gold is risky. Some other people would come forward and tell me that investment in real estate or property is very risky. So what do I do? What is this risk? Now, before we talk about risk, I would like to explain to you certain conceptual differences between savings and investment. Now, for example, let us consider that I am in India. I am a salaried class person, and from my salary, I am able to save 1000 rupees in a month. All right. Now, what happens is, if I keep this 1000 rupees at my home in a locker, then this 1000 rupees at the end of the year will remain 1000. But the purchasing power of that 1000 rupees would have reduced because of the inflation. So what I am able to buy today with that 1000 rupees, the same thing I will not be able to buy after a year, because the purchasing power of that money would have reduced. But if I keep that money, that 1000 rupees, in a bank, then the bank would offer me some interest. Normally that interest is just adequate or just enough to meet inflation. That is just to keep pace with the inflation. So when I keep my money in the bank, I know that my 1000 rupees will grow into 1050. But the purchasing power of my money would remain the same what it is today. Imagine a third situation when I put that money into some business or some investment like gold or maybe some stocks of some company, or any other form of investment, then can we say how much that 1000 rupees will become after a year? I really do not know. That 1000 may become 1100, may become 1200, may become 1500, or possibly it may reduce to 900, 800, 700, whatever. I really do not know. So, what is the difference between these three circumstances? Keeping my money at home in a locker, keeping it in a bank, or putting it into some investment. The difference is that in the first case, I know for sure that my 1000 rupees will remain 1000, though the purchasing power would have reduced. In the second case also, I am very certain, I am very sure that my 1000 rupees will grow into 1050, though the purchasing power would remain the same what it is today. But in the third case, I am not certain, I am not sure what will happen. And that uncertainty is called as the risk. So I hope you have understood the conceptual difference between savings and investment, why you should invest your money and let your money grow, at least to beat inflation. What is the risk and how do we manage risk, or how do we analyze risk? That we shall study in the subsequent lessons. All right.